Are we live, Nicholas?
Yeah, I think you actually might have jumped the gun on that, though.
You know, it wouldn't be the first time I've jumped the gun on sound.
Oh boy.
Jesus Christ. Yes, it's gonna be a night, Nicholas. It's gonna be a night. Oh man, how you doing? You doing well?
I'm doing very well, thanks. I'd be
Family's
very
good?
curious if you everything's good on my end. I'd be curious if I went back and listened to the first 5 minutes of every episode if it wasn't something to the effect of you saying, "Oh, it's one of those days. Oh, it's gonna be one of those nights." Ugh." And then by the end of it, we're always like, "I had a great time," and it's like, "What the fuck were you talking about?"
It's the story of my life, Nicholas. You know, these days that out today's a very, very important day off. It's Veterans Day. And
Hmm.
you know, my dad's a veteran, my grandfather was a veteran. For any veteran listening, thank you.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm sure as hell not brave enough to go out there and do that. But it's another goddamn day off for my kid. I love her to death.
Oh,
But jeez Louise, I need me time, you know?
doc
Um,
needs doc time.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But anyways, it's a great week for comic books. We're
Very
getting
true.
close to Thanksgiving. We're getting very close to some very fun episodes of this program coming up, Nicholas. I am having a dickens of a time, pun intended, of
Hmm.
trying to narrow down a particular floppy category. I've gone ahead. I've made photoshops of. So I'm ahead of the game, Nicholas. I've been feeling very productive,
I
getting
think it's your
very
favorite.
excited.
Your I think award season is your favorite time of year when it comes to comics. You keep track of
Love
it
it.
all year long.
Yeah, yeah, love it. And I've been out and ahead of it. I've been this year. I kept track of all the number ones from all the big publishers that we discuss on this program, so I would be able to make a well informed decision on each and every category. And
Give
there's
yourself a little
there's
more credit though. You've been doing that at least the last 2 years now, if not three, haven't you?
not to this degree.
Okay.
Typically, it's been like I keep like in the folders, I keep the number one sort of left behind, but like this was like listed like October all the way from October through October. So like I did a
Mm-hmm.
really bang up job this year, Nicholas.
Yes,
They're
and a
pumping,
reminder
they're
for anybody
pumping my
who's new to
tires.
the show, reminder for everybody else and anybody who's new to the show, when we get to awards time for the floppies, we consider everything from October of the previous year until end of September of the previous year. Once you get in that time range, if you're, October this year of 2025, we're not going to be considering you unless you've had a book that's been ongoing already throughout and it's gotten at least 3 issues in the can. But if you're just starting in October, if you don't have 3 issues in the can, by the time October rolls around, then we're not considering it because you just haven't had enough time, and then you're considered for next year. And it's weird, like some books can fall under the radar, and you know what? Just chalk one up for you for your note taking because I was blown away by one of your selections, and it's totally valid.
Yeah, and you went no. I go according to the bylaws, Nicholas, it
Yep,
counts. It
yep.
counts.
And
So
I checked it, and you were correct, sir.
I was correct. So keep reading, baby.
All right, that's it. Bye, everybody.
Really jumped the gun on that one. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of all ages, TLDR Studios proudly presents you the greatest, and I mean the greatest podcasting team in the world. He is the comic book writer, Nick Friar. I am the somewhat friendly neighborhood backcracking Dr. Joe. Together we are the TLDR Comic Book Club. Baby, how's it going, Nicholas?
I'm doing just great. You're extremely friendly. I'll hear nothing of the sort otherwise from anybody else, including you. But yeah, we got a lot to get to today. Some really good comics, and we're doing a mainline, which I know sometimes we like to be like, "Oh wow, it's been a while since we did this." We did one in October. We got one. We snuck one in during spooky season.
Quick question. Did we do a trade this year? I
I
think
think we
one,
did.
maybe,
I think we did earlier in the year. Yeah, I think we got one
right?
in early in the year. Yes,
Yeah.
we're coming up close on the next one.
Well, we are, but it won't happen this year. I don't
Nope.
think.
No, because this is going to be the only main line of the month, just based on the way that we've kind of calculated things out. And then looking into December, we might sneak one more Friar site chat in by the end of the year. Probably not two, but between the awards, we may get one more. But yeah, you're right. We're not going to get a trade in. There's no way,
No.
just from a math standpoint. Where I think is Christmas on a When is
It's
Christmas
on a
fall?
Wednesday.
Oh yeah, we're gonna be doing. Yeah, we're not gonna. There's no way we're gonna be
And New
doing.
Year's Day's on a Wednesday too. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. So I don't know. We have to figure out what we're gonna do from an award standpoint. We'll probably do that on the 30th. To end the year and get as full of pictures as we can. But anyways, yes, we did not. I don't think we got one trade in this year. I think that's it. But that's because we have so many fireside chats. We've I think clocked in 20, which is what we normally do. At this point, we're in that general ballpark. But yeah, but it's not like we. It's for the it's been a while. We did one last month.
It's been a while. But yeah, I'm thinking about it. Like, I'm like, shit, we're on TLDS's mainline 118, Nicholas,
Hmm.
not to, count or anything like that. But
Yeah,
like,
it is.
so 100, 110, yeah, that happened this year. I can't remember. We have to go back and take a look. But like, yeah, I'd imagine we probably did that. I think what happened was I think we got like mainline heavy at the start of the year.
Yeah,
And I think we got that trade was one of them. And then like, bam, like
yeah.
not
And
a lot.
I've said this before, and I don't know if our listeners would feel the same way. I'd be curious, but in an ideal world, I think it would be like one main line a month, one Friar side chat a month, or like every other week we're like alternating something to that
Mm,
degree. When you do the math, that's kind of where we end up by the end of the year. But it's like it's always in bunches. Like we'll have like, oh, we have like a bunch of main lines that we did in a row. It's like, man, like when's the last time we got to get another one of them Friar side chats in? And then we get like 5 in a row, and then it's like when's the last time we did a fucking main line? Like, what are we doing? It's just always these
yeah.
like big emotional swings. Always. It's
Well,
never
and that's
simple.
the thing when almost half the year is interviews,
Yeah.
right? Then like, okay, and then you got solicits in there,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. I'm blanking on
right?
the list I blanked on. Yeah. So
And
so
then like some weeks it's just the what's new. Like, yeah, yeah,
that's very very rarely that we just do. The only time those happen is because we have interviews that we're conducting in
right.
that week. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that's that. And I think we got a little more lax on that this year than in years past, but it's just because we would get a lot of interviews at once,
Mhm.
and they would just come in bunches. And it's difficult to like do timing wise for both our schedules. So, but yeah, we'll have to do the math. I mean, that's what we do the annual for because that's the annual. Yeah, the annual's where we do the floppies. Okay, I was having a brain fart for a second there. Jeez. Wow. All
Mm.
right. Anyways, enough of that. Real quick though, for those wondering, Fireside Chats, what the heck are those? If you only watch this on YouTube or if you watch this on Instagram Live, where StreamYard has done some spiffy stuff now, where it actually lays out in a favorable way for our Instagram viewers. But Fireside Chats, those are our conversations with creators across the industry. We talk to a lot of writers on the show. We mix in artists as much as we can, but they're obviously very busy. And also, we've had some editors and whatnot on the program as well. You can only find those conversations on our audio channel. So you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram, please, by all means. Do that. But if you want to hear those interviews, make sure you subscribe to an audio channel. And while you're there, leave a 5-star rating and review. 5 stars only. Otherwise, you're going to learn the real meaning of backcracker. And Joe approved that I am wrong about calling him a friendly neighborhood backcracker. All right. We got a lot to get to. No catching up for this week, as much as we both probably did a level of catching up in order to talk about some of the books we want to break down. But why don't you take us to Marvel, Joe?
All right, for Marvel, I forgot to write down what week this is. This is for New Comic Book Day, November 12th. Yes, we're speaking to you on not the timestamp things on the 11th. For those watching, you're getting a sneak preview. But for those listening, this is for New Comic Book Day, November 12th. So here we go. From Marvel Comics, we have Ultimate Black Panther issue 22, Fantastic Four issue 5. Side note, Nicholas, started watching the movie, fell asleep.
Wow.
Not because the movie was boring, it's because I'm old.
That sounds
Um,
right.
I'll quick tangent. I will tell you, I very much enjoyed what I was able to stay awake for.
Mm,
I love the aesthetic, I think, most of all so far. Like that's the biggest thing that I got from Fantastic Four Life Story was there was elements of it, but it was the aesthetic. They really took that early aesthetic, which I enjoyed.
mm,
Spider-Man and Wolverine issue 7. The Amazing Spider-Man Torn issue 2. Spider-Man 94 issue 3. New Avengers issue 6. Spider-Man Noir issue 2. Eddie Brock Carnage issue 10. Sinister 6 issue 2. Rogue Storm issue 2. Star Wars issue 7. Marvel Knights The World to Come issue 4. Iron and Frost issue 2. Red Hulk issue 10. Venom, I've heard it both ways, issue 251, Spider-Girl, issue 6, Marvel Black, White, and Blood and Guts, issue 2, Strange Tales, issue 2, Han Solo, Hunt for the Falcon, issue 3, 1776, issue 1, and X-Men Tales from the Age of Apocalypse, issue 1. And if that wasn't a mouthful, Nicholas, we have a number. Well, we don't have a number one we're going to discuss, but we do have a book we want to discuss. That's how excited I am to discuss it. And that is Ultimate Wolverine issue 11, written by Chris Condon with art by Alessandro Capuccio. Before I dive into it, Nicholas, tell the people what you texted me earlier.
So I read this on the day before that this book comes out, because we have the privilege to do that with Marvel, among other titles. And normally when Joe, I don't always text Joe when I've read something and I haven't heard from him necessarily. I don't always do that, just because I want to let him do his own thing, read what he wants to read and whatever, and I like to hold things for the show or when we start talking face to face before the show. But he has a tendency to text me, but when he sees something that like blows his mind. And I read this Ultimate Wolverine issue 11, and I'm like, I have to text Joe. I have to tell him right away. And I asked him if he'd read it, to which you said you had not. You were getting there, and I'm like, you need to do it before the show, because and you read it like I got a text you like 20 minutes later, and you're like, holy hell. To which I responded with David from Schitt's Creek of just like yep.
Yeah. Holy hell. I mean, this series has been absolutely tremendous. There's only a few more issues left, I believe.
I think you're right.
Right, because the whole Ultimate Universe is coming, is winding down. But man, oh man, like this has just been absolute high octane series, right from the rip. And we had Chris Condon on, back when the series started to talk about it, and he undersold the shit out of it. Because this has been one of my favorite books, for the past year. But there's a moment in this issue, for those who are reading it, and you'll know what moment I'm talking about, where no hyperbole here. You will legit have to pick your jaw, up off the floor, because it's like one of those things, especially in comics, where you see something coming. And then, bam, the power of comics, the power of the pen, something changes, and what you think is going to come to fruition doesn't, something else happens. Well, this you see coming, this you see coming, this you see coming. And then when it happens, even though you know it's coming, you're not ready for it. You could not be ready for it at all. And in the scope of 3 panels, it's the most emotional, sort of gut-wrenching scene I could possibly imagine, Wolverine being in, especially in this series. It was just like I said, holy hell.
Yep.
And it is wildly impactful, and it is so well executed from a storytelling standpoint, and it is so well executed from an artistic standpoint. Capuccio, the way he sort of sequences the panels, and then bam, you get sort of this big oversized panel of sort of, the aftermath. You just oh fuck. And this was an absolutely cold, calculating, brilliant issue.
Yeah, it's a great use of Capuccio's talents, 100%.
Oh.
I couldn't agree with you more. If you have been sleeping on this series, it's time to wake up. It really is. And also, good luck dodging spoilers this week, because we've seen some crazy stuff from this series. I mean, like, it started off on a pretty loud note, and we even talked to Chris Condon about that in some capacity, both on air and off air. And this is some of the craziest shit that we've seen in this series, knowing where things started. So just, if you're seeing this on social, or if you're listening to us right now, whether you're watching us or listening to us, just be careful on social media when it comes to Ultimate Wolverine spoilers, because they're going to come out hot for sure.
Out of all the Ultimate books, this has been the most intense series, and this is by far the most intense issue. Like, holy cow.
Well put. Yep. 100%. All right, moving on to Image and Skybound because we're gonna get to DC later. We got Transformers issue 26, Spawn 370, Redcoat issue 15, GI Joe: A Real American Hero issue 322, Blood and Thunder issue 7, Witchblade issue 16. Artificial issue 3, which Joe was reading, The Author Immortal issue 2, which you read the first issue. I just noticed you don't have it like highlighted here. Are you gonna go back and check it out, or were you like, yeah, after the first issue? I thought
I
you
kind
liked
of forgot. I kind of forgot that I read the first issue. To
it.
be honest
That's,
with you,
that's not ideal. Yeah, that's not ideal. It's that kind of stuff happens, I mean, especially for us. We're reading so much stuff.
because I looked at the second issue and I was like, "Did I read this?" I was like, "I don't think I did," and so I did. I didn't.
Oh wow, yeah, there you go. Blood Squad 7, issue 11. Death to Pachuco, issue 2. Really overthought that one. Youngblood Mass Market Edition, issue 1. Colossal Kaya, issue 1. Gray Lady, issue 1, which damn it, I meant to read that one. And then we have the Power Fantasy, issue 13, which I mean, like after some of the stuff that's happened in the last couple issues, and like I'm just like, what the fuck is gonna happen next after reading this one? I'm like, I legitimately, it was one of those moments where I'm like, wait, what?
And when we talked to Kieran most recently, I think he mentioned this issue, and and true, Kieran fashion. He's very coy.
Yep.
And,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I didn't like issue 12 was something else, and the way that ended, the cliffhanger ending there, and then this
Mm-hmm.
again. Do you want to talk about picking your jaw up off the ground? Holy shit!
Yep. 100%. And guess what? That isn't even the Kieran Gillen book that we wanted to break down this week. We want to talk about Die Loaded, issue 1, of course, written by Kieran Gillen with art by Stephanie Hans. We had Kieran on the show a little while back to talk about this series ahead of the final order cutoff, also known as the FOC. And I think I can speak for, I think Joe feels similar on this, but correct me if I'm wrong, Joe. I haven't stopped thinking about Die since the first series ended, and this new series has that same impact. We got to read issue 1 ahead of our conversation with Kieran. Couldn't really dig into stuff. Obviously, we don't want to spoil things, but there was so much that we could have talked to him about. And even here now, we're gonna be careful about some of the things that we talked about. But plain and simple, if you liked Die, you are going to like Die Loaded. I think that this first issue does a great job of welcoming back readers, but also makes it accessible enough for new readers who don't know necessarily what's going on. Like we're paying homage to the old stuff, but also a lot of it's just kind of setting the stage for the new things. And man, this is going to be a whole new mess, excuse me, that I can't wait to see unravel. And I think Stephanie really sets a great tone off the rip. Obviously, we know her art style and we know she does an outstanding job. And just when you get her into the world of Die, it's just all bets are off. But there's some stuff we see in this issue that I don't think we saw her do at all in the first series. And it's just like, damn, man, like she forces you to stop and appreciate her art every single
Mm.
time.
Yeah, she elevated her game, for sure. And this is this is one of those books where a lot of time when we have creators on, and we only have one issue to work with. There's only so much, right, that you can kind of talk about without getting into spoilers and stuff like that. And so sometimes it's like, how do you come up with questions, and and all that. With Die, when we just had the first issue of Die Loaded, I feel like I could have asked 1,000 questions,
Yep.
right? And obviously can't, because questions would have been spoiler heavy, and things of and whatnot.
Hmm.
But like, this one of those issues where it's like, no, I didn't have that like that sort of anxiety of like, well, how many questions can I really come up with to talk about just off one issue, right? And so this, I feel like we could have, like, I did, and we did. We had a shitload of questions we wanted to talk to Kieran about, but we couldn't.
Hmm. Yeah, 100%. And
That's
I
how
get it.
good this first issue is, right? That's just how good it is.
100%. I Die is one of our favorite titles of all time. Period. Whether it's Marvel, DC, or whether you count those or not, they're up there. When we did our whole thing with Keith, where did that end up on that list? I think it was number 4, right?
Yeah, I think so.
and Keith hasn't read that series, so that kind of like says just how highly Joe and I think of that. I do think that the Power Fantasy is going to move up my list from Kieran Gillen books,
Mm.
but we're big fans of Kieran's work, and if you like, again, if you like his stuff, you're going to like this one, and if you like Die, and that's the only thing you've ever read from Kieran, you're going to want to check out Die Loaded. It's really that simple. But that's not the only Image book that we needed to touch on this week. We got the final issue of We're Taking Everyone Down With Us. That is the 6th issue of the series. Matthew Rosenberg and Stefano Landini. And there are a lot of twists in this series, a lot of just a lot of explosions that you didn't necessarily see coming, a lot of deaths that just along the way. And it's just like, what the fuck? And it's funny because they really saved the biggest twists for the
Mm.
end. And like, there's one twist that they save for the very, very, very end. And it's just like, wait a second. What the fuck just happened? Like, I'm still like, there's like the big developments that happen in the story, and like, great, those are all well done, and I enjoyed that. And if they just left it there, like, yes, you had a great ending, really nice job, really enjoyed the series. But then like there's like this last little bit, and I'm like, wait, huh? Like I'm still thinking about that. It mind fucked me a little bit. But most explosive issue yet, all around, like just quite the control of sorry, all around it was quite the mix of controlled chaos. God, my brain is just not working.
Those last 2 pages there, right? Where and that's the thing with this series, right? Is that there was a lot of questions that you as the reader had. There was a lot of questions that the characters had. There was a lot of unknown, and it was just building and building and building. And there was points in time where, as the reader, well, you obviously know, what the deal is, with the father and all that. And then, you know, just the way that things unfolded in this issue, right? Like, it's not just the twists and turns, but it was sort of the beats of it, the pacing of it, the way that it was unfolded. And then so you get a couple of like really key moments, and then you get that ending. And I'm still like stunned, like, holy shit, like we've said that a lot this week. Didn't see it coming, didn't see it
Mhm.
coming, didn't see it coming. You zero chance you're gonna see this ending coming.
Yep.
And then what I really loved had nothing to do with with this particular issue, was that when we had Matthew Rosenberg on, this is sort of part of a larger universe. He wants to sort of create like a sort of a series, right? And then we sort of get like a to be continued in, but like a completely different story altogether with one of the characters that I love, right? That you meet right from the beginning. So it looks like there's going to be another series. It might be sort of like a prequel series that we're going to get. So, like, I love what Matthew Rosenberg is creating here, and I've loved this story right from the first page. And again, we're getting a lot of endings here. They've just been done so brilliantly.
Mhm.
And the surprise and the suspense and everything that's built up it was executed with perfection.
Two more things on this. One, I feel like it's been a long time since we got issue 5, and obviously stuff happens. We've mentioned
Yeah,
that many
there's
a
been some
time.
delays. Yep.
There's been some delays with this one, but honestly, I didn't go back and reread issue 5 before this. Did you?
Didn't
Yeah.
need to. Nope, didn't need to.
Yeah, that says a lot to the strength of this series. One, two, you mentioned how like there's a lot of books that we had high expectations for this week, and just we've broken down 3 big time that like really delivered. Obviously, the Power Fantasy as well. We broke down the capacity. Like, there's nothing better than having high expectations and then having them be exceeded.
Mm.
And just to have that through these first couple books, and we got more to talk about as well. But I was just to that note, like very pleased with that. But anyways, what do we got from Boom this week?
From Boom, we have VR Troopers and Power Rangers, a flip book facsimile edition, issue 3. We have Wind, The Powers of Blood, issue 6. Oh, so this was another. So I talked to prior to us going on, I talked about a book that I had to catch up on. This is another one I had to catch up on.
Hmm.
Again, there's been a couple of months between each issue, and so like I'm reading it, I'm like, something feels odd here. I had to go back and read the previous 2 issues of Wind, The Powers of Blood, issue 6.
Hmm.
This is the final, arc, final story in the Wind series that I've absolutely enjoyed, and so I was surprised. I was like, "Oh shit!" I had to go back and get caught up on that. But that's been absolutely
Does it
excellent.
does it feel like Boom's publishing schedule with some of their books is like a little different than monthly?
Well, so because we're gonna touch on that with this next title too, with
Well,
Grimm issue
that's
25,
yeah,
right?
that's a
So
different thing though.
yeah, no, I feel because Wind is Tynan and Tynan's got so many things going on. I honestly think it's just a matter of like where's Wind on Tynan's priority list
Mm,
and
maybe.
when it's gonna get published, right? Because he's got half a dozen things easily, right? And he's so ensconced with something is killing the children, not just writing it, but everything else. So I feel
No, but
like
I'm right. Look, I'm looking right now in League of Comic Geeks, and since these are already out, I'm pretty sure these
yeah,
are spot on. Like issue 41 came out in April, issue 42 June.
yeah,
Then the next one was August, next one was October, the
yeah,
next one's
yeah,
going
yeah.
to be the start of December. They're doing it like is that math right? Every 2 months, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's only, but I think that kind of goes to what I'm saying. It's like he's only got so much bandwidth to do so many things. So it's
true.
probably easier for him to be like, all right, let's put this out bi-monthly. And
Mm,
that's what I can't give this to you every month because
mm,
I've got something is killing the children writing, movie, TV show. I've got exquisite corpses. We've got you know what I mean? Like
yeah, yeah.
it, on the priority list, like it's probably like lower, and so it's probably like, hey, let's finish this up, but I can give it to you. That's just me speculating,
No,
but
you're probably right, and that book can sustain that. Like people will accept that, especially if there's no more delays. Like if you're just going to do that and you get 6 issues that way every year, I don't
yeah,
think people are going to say
yeah.
anything. But yeah.
But excellent nonetheless. And then Grimm issue 25, the finale of this series. It was a very heartfelt issue. Um, but I think we kind of touched upon this last time. Like it kind of this is not speaking to the quality, but I think to me it just felt like it ended on a bit of a whimper because it had been rolling with such high steam, and then it really like slowed down. And it like to me, I love the series. And I think going back and reading it as a collected edition will read wonderfully, and it'll be a
Mm.
great story start to finish. It just sort of petered out at the end, and that's a little bit of a bummer because this thing had been rolling for such a long time. It's such a great pace.
Yeah, I think there's a world in which this ending hits perfectly,
Mm.
and just we didn't. There's just certain things that I think we didn't get along the way that we probably were expecting. And then obviously the long breaks that we had, which unfortunately those things happen in comics, but um, yeah, they're tough. They can be tough for a story for sure to kind of sustain through that. But yeah, so that is the end of Grimm. But then we got Dark Horse. We got a lot here this week. So we got Star Wars Hyperspace Stories, Tides of Terror issue 3, The Adventures of Lumen N issue 3, Hellboy and the BPRD, The Ghost Ships of Labrador issue 1, which I didn't highlight this one, but I did read that. I love reading Hellboy when I get the chance. And then American Caper issue 1, which I did read this. I did like this. It wasn't like it didn't knock my socks off like some of the other books that I want to talk about, and even some of the other books that I wanted to read, but like had a really strong ending. The narration was compelling as well as very narration heavy story, less dialogue. I will be checking out issue 2. If I love it, then I will circle back on that one for sure. But there is a different Dark Horse book that you wanted to touch on.
Oh yes, and again another finale. And this is a series that again has been coming out, I believe, every 2 months. Right, it hasn't been
Sounds right.
right every month. And that's The Witcher, The Bear and the Butterfly, written by um,
Cy Spurrier.
Cy Spurrier. Thank you. I was like, I wrote his last name down. I was like, I don't need to write his first name down. I know his first name. I'm not like a fucking aging adult. Written by Cy Spurrier with art by Stephen Green. And man, like we always talk about these Witcher series from Dark Horse because they're always so great. First, it was Bartosz Stibber who wrote, I think, four different, 4-issue arcs, and now we got Cy Spurrier, and I've loved this one. It hasn't been an action packed, series. We've gotten definitely some great action scenes. This issue, we get some awesome awesome action scenes. This is a lot more, sort of, Geralt sort of like he's doing his detective thing, right? And the twist that we get in this and the setup to it and the way it ends. This was a very beautiful ending. um, you know, to a Witcher story. A lot of times the endings that we get are very satisfying, right? Because you're so you just want to see Geralt kill something and kill something viciously and like I said, it's very satisfying. This was a very beautiful ending. This was sort of a gut wrenching series, and the way that it all came together in this particular issue, when all the pieces of the puzzle sort of fit in, you go, ah, yes, that was executed brilliantly. So I loved it. It didn't need to have a ton of action for me because I loved the story. I loved the pacing of it. I loved the way it all came together. So The Witcher, The Bear and the Butterfly, issue 4, Cy Spurrier, Stephen Green. Highly recommend.
Yeah, don't always need a ton of action as long as the action is
Mhm.
impactful. That's all that matters.
There you go. There you go. From Mad King Studios, we have Dick Tracy, issue 13, Flash Gordon Quarterly, issue 5, Liquidator, issue 1, which we both read. It's a real effing mind bleep.
Yeah,
But in a good way. Because it's who wrote it? It's
Peter Milligan,
Peter Milligan, who we love, and it is
Peter
don't
Kowalski.
tell me. No, thank you.
Sorry.
It's right there. I wanted the goddamn satisfaction. Frick. Peter Kowalski, whose art we love, especially his work with Kyle Starks, and whose art style sort of reminds me similar to the book I'll be talking about, later this evening. Um, but like this was like I'm reading and go, did I fucking miss something here? What? And then like, oh, got it. And then like so I thought this was a very good first issue. Looking forward to the second issue. That's Liquidator issue 1, a book
Agreed.
that I am saving. So my guy, DB, if you're listening, hi. Red Vector issue 4. I will be cutting a video on this. This will be my gem of the week, baby. So watch for it. It's coming on
I
Friday.
just want to note real quick that there was something that happened at the end of issue 3 that they mess around with in issue 4 that I was just like, wait a second, what the fuck is going on? I can't wait to see how that element ends in
Yeah.
issue 5. But yeah.
But this was a wonderful fucking issue, and I can't wait to dive into that. But a book that you want to talk about, Nicholas, from Mad Cave Studios.
Yeah, so I would have wanted to break down Liquidator because obviously we try and prioritize issue ones whenever we can. But we didn't talk about Gunpowder Profits when it first came out. I think I wanted to because I saw Justin Jordan who did. Oh my God, why am I blanking on? I looked on this Harrower. He's the writer of Harrower, and then Patrick Piazzalunga, whose art style I love. Joe, you haven't read this at all, right?
I have not.
Dibs. Okay, taking it right now. When I first saw the art for this, and I think when you see it again, you'll be like, "Oh wow, this looks like a lot of fun." This is a supernatural buddy cop team with a cartoony flair that you're getting from Patrick Piazzalunga. And so just when I saw Justin Jordan's name attached to this, I was like, I need to go and give this a look. And there's so much room for the plot to jerk you around in a few different ways. And the thing is, you don't even think about that when you're reading it because you're too caught up in the buddy cop element of this story. And then on top of all that, there's a third wheel who's like very, I mean, it's very prominent. She's the child that's on the cover of the first two issues. She's like adding quite a bit of comedy to this story too. She's one of those where it's like she's the kid's like she may be young, but she's seen some shit. So she's able to like kind of be a little bit more like, oh fuck, okay, all right, this kid gets it. So I love the buddy cop element. I love the third wheel element. It's just so well written by Justin Jordan, and Patrick Piazzalunga's art just fits so well with like the I don't know the tone of the story. Like it sets a perfect tone all around. So I'm just having a lot of fun hanging out with those two characters. And as I'm reading this, I'm enjoying the story, but I'm also like, feel like we need more beyond this arc. Whatever this is, like I need to get another story with these two guys. So Gunpowder Profits, if you slept on that one, you got to be checking that one out. It's definitely like one of those stories that's just like feel good, fun time.
Well, I can't check it out now.
Not you.
What was the Cullen Bunn book that Patrick Pianzaluga?
I knew you were going
It
to
was,
ask me this,
it was the
and
Monsters book, right?
yeah, it's a Dark Horse book. If you give me 2 seconds, I will have that for you. It was Those Not Afraid. Nope,
Yeah.
that's not it.
Nope.
That's not
Nope.
it.
That's
Nope,
not it.
that's
Nope.
that's
Nope.
Kyle Starks.
Yes.
Shoot, I need another second here. I cannot remember for the life of me. And Monsters Are My Business. You were right about
Yes. There we go.
Monsters Are My Business. Yes, with the koala. Yeah, that was a fun series. I really
All
liked
right.
that.
Why don't you take us who's next week so I can wrap up the last one there?
Yeah, so no single issues from Oni this week. I do believe there's a trade out from them, but that's about it. From IDW, we got Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, Rite of Spring issue 4, Event Horizon Dark Descent issue 3, Godzilla Escape the Dead Zone issue 4, TMNT Journeys issue 3, Star Trek Lower Decks issue 13, Star Trek Strange New Worlds The Seas of Salvation issue 3, Street Sharks issue 2, TMNT Godzilla issue 1. From Distillery, we got City Beneath Her Feet issue 2, which this is a long-awaited issue too. I read the first issue way back, and I know that they did a re-release of this, but this is a tie-in joint. So I'm excited to get back into this one. From Titan, we got Conan the Barbarian issue 26.
Oh, you were so close.
Wait, it's supposed to be Barbarian. Sorry.
Yeah, you could have got a bad.
You know
Titan,
what?
Conan the Barbarian, 26. Craniacs, right? You now town, right?
No,
Like
I'm not.
you could have
I'm
done
not
the whole
Downtown
thing.
shouldn't even be in here. Those don't. I don't. I'm not convinced those books come out. We've been stuck on issue 3 for years. But yeah, Craniacs issue 2 and allegedly Nouns of Downtown issue 3. From Dynamite, we got the Blue Falcon and Dynamut issue 3. Vampirella Armageddon issue 5. Thundercats Panthro issue 1. Did you check that one out?
Oh, Joe Mulvey, if you're listening, I sure as hell did. Another Ed Brisson joint. Excellent. Another one shot. You know, Dynamite's been doing a lot of these Thundercats one shots. We got a Chitara one. We got a Pumira one, which I did my gem on of the week last week on. We got Panthro here. We got Apex, right? So all things Thundercats, I'm in, baby. Ho, Thundercat hour. Ho!
We got Peter Cannon Thunderbolt issue 1, and then Gargoyles Fantastic Four issue 1, which I did check that one out as well. More of a younger audience, I would say, for Gargoyles.
As much. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 100%. Oh, and then look at that. Joe Mulvey was checking in. This is the most pro DB Andrews show on the interwebs. Look at that. Yeah, you're probably right.
Someone's got to talk about him, Joe. I mean, he's a physical therapist and all, right?
Oh my goodness. All right. And then we have DC to round things out, Joe. You have a book you want to break down there. I'll take us through everything else. Batman 162, that is, of course, Hush. We have Action Comics 1092, Batman Dark Patterns issue 12, which may get discussed in detail a little bit. Superman the Kryptonite Spectrum issue 4. What?
This was the most fucking bizarre comic I've ever. One of the most bizarre comics I've ever read in my life. This has been a cracker series. The ice cream man, creators are behind this one, and this issue in particular with Malta Poltonic. I can never pronounce that weirdo fifth dimension character's name, but this issue was. This is what I was reading when you texted me that says, "Have you read Ultimate Wolverine yet?" And what I wanted to say was, "No, I'm in the middle of this fucked up book right now, and I can't take my eyes off it." I will get to it after this. This was like the most fun, bizarre, what the shit am I reading comic that I've read in a very long time.
Nice. Okay. We got Aquaman issue 11, Supergirl issue 7, Green Lantern Corps issue 10, Mr. Terrific Year 1 issue 6, another finale, and I did enjoy that series. Batman Gotham by Gaslight, A League for Justice issue 5, Court Children of the Round Table issue 3, and then Batman Static Beyond issue 1, which is a book that I did read. I would have broken down in detail if I enjoyed it more. I just felt like the characters were written well, but I just the way the story moved, the plot and everything, it wasn't necessarily the plot was not good. It just didn't work.
Wasn't for you.
Yep, wasn't for me in the end. I'm sure some people really enjoy it. People love Batman Beyond. I do. People love Static Shock. I like him a lot too. So I definitely think you should still check it out and make your own decisions. But that is not the book that wants to be broken. Do we want to break down, Joe? You got one for us.
Yeah, this is the other book where I had to catch up on, so it was Wind and then it was this because I didn't realize I had fallen behind. And that's Batman and Robin, issue 27. And I read it and I go, I feel like I'm missing something here. And then I went back and I go, oh, I haven't even started this arc yet. And it's 3 issues in. But I was like, it was fantastic. So, what the book that I'm going to be discussing in just a few moments and Batman and Robin has been doing, they're really utilizing, they're not just going to the greatest hits of the Rogues gallery, right? And you're getting some really great stories with some I wouldn't call them obscure characters, but like lesser down on the rogues list characters. And of course, Batman and Robin is currently being written by Philip Kennedy Johnson with art by Fico Ossio. And one thing that I've come to learn about Philip Kennedy Johnson is just and I got this vibe from him when we met him at Boston Fan Expo. But there's I had this when I was reading Bliss, right, by Sean Lewis, and just the connection between your father and son, right, and sort of these parental relationships, and we've seen that with Philip when he's writing Superman, the way he's able to really get you to feel the relationship between Clark and John. And he does something in this issue with Batman that I always talk about this all the time, like the humanizing of Bruce Wayne, because we're just so used to Bruce Wayne and Batman being very robotic, being very just black and white, just being very like, nope, job oriented, nothing else matters. We got to succeed here. And what he's been doing with Batman and Robin is he's really sort of just gone head first into the relationship between Bruce and Damian, and none he's done a really good job with it. But this issue in particular, he really, like, there's moments here where Bruce is he's asking for help, and in that moment I'm like, I feel like Bruce Wayne. I understand him. He was the most relatable that character I think has ever been. Was in this issue and has been in this arc in general. And that takes quite a bit of skill, to be honest with you, to humanize, to really truly humanize Bruce Wayne and Batman in a way that I can be like, yeah, I get you. I feel you, brother. Yeah, like, yeah, I'm going through that shit too, right? Yeah, me and you, right? Huh? Right? We're one and the same. And so that really hit me, and that really spoke to me. And so, like, this is one of those series, right, where it was started by Joshua Williamson, and it's like, I fucking hate Damian Wayne. How's this gonna work? And now I fucking love the character, right? And I think Philip Kennedy Johnson's just done a great job since he took over, and not just telling you great stories, but really tapping into these characters. And I think that's where he thrives, whether it's Clark and John or Bruce and Damian. Like, and they're two very different relationships, right? Because they're four completely different characters, but he really has a knack for humanizing characters that are, have always just sort of been next level god tier, whatever you want to call it. And that was this was just an excellent issue, excellent series. I'm glad I had a couple issues to kind of catch up on too, because then I really got to live in it a bit, and just excellent stuff.
Yeah, we obviously don't generally trade weight. There's obviously stuff that we catch up on that we maybe missed from different lulls in our reading lifetime and whatnot. But when we have books where it's like that we liked before, and then something happens where we fall behind for some strange reason, because that stuff does happen. We try and keep up with so much; it's bound to happen. It's nice when you get like a little pocket. It's like, oh shoot, I got to catch up on this, and then it's like, oh my god, how did I stop reading this book? Like, I love that feeling where it's just like, I missed this shit. So I'm glad
That
you
was a
had that.
thing. I thought it was all caught up. That's the thing. I didn't realize I had missed 2 issues, and it was all, because of the New Mexico trip, and it threw me off,
That'll
you know,
do it. Yeah, you
because
gotta
I
talk
had
about
no idea. I
tequila.
thought I was fully caught up. I thought I was fully caught up on Wind,
That,
especially with that one because it only comes out every couple months. So,
yeah, that
um,
tequila had a little bite in it, didn't it?
oh, I fucking hate tequila, bro. I can't do it. I can't dance with tequila. We are not simpatico. We are not one and the same. That's for damn sure.
Oh man! All right. Speaking of Batman, we both have some DC books that we want to discuss this week, and I've been very excited for you to dig into the one that you want to discuss because this is a book that you've been praising, and honestly, I've been seeing. I feel like a lot of people have been praising. But I'm not gonna steal your thunder anymore. What are you talking about?
That'd be Batman Doc Patterns. And so the last issue came out, it comes out this week. But I was gonna, I've been this is one of those books where I could have talked about it a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, right? And it would still work, it would still play. Written by Dan Waters, art by Hayden Sherman, colors by Triona Farrell, and letters by Frank Vidovich. Synopsis. Set during early years of Batman's career, Batman Dark Patterns delves into 4 mysterious cases as he attempts to cement his place as Gotham City's protector, while the city itself fights back against him. This is the Dark Knight detective at his most stripped down core, a man relying on his wits, his skills, and little else as he tackles some of the most twisted mysteries Gotham City and its protector have ever encountered. So this is in total 12 issues, and it is 4 3-story arcs. And I got to tell you, let these guys cook. Just keep it going. Just let them keep going. Why did you didn't have to end this at 12. You could have taken, just but I get it. It's a nice tight thing.
It's smart,
But
Joe. Like I get what you're saying. But like conceptually, I just wanted to interject here. Like people want that with Batman. They need him at his base level, where they can't just have it be like Batman leading the Justice League and all this stuff. They need this kind of shit.
well,
So,
yeah, right, because you're getting origin stuff. It's very Batman Year One, right,
mm,
in that sense, which I love because it's just like it's a raw, grittier. Like the synopsis is a more stripped down Batman. He's not. It's not just all flash and being 1,000 steps ahead of everyone else. A lot of this series, he's playing from behind. He's playing from, and I love that. I absolutely love that because I love that cat and mouse. I love a good detective story, and that's essentially what we get in all of these. But what's really great about it is that you get 4 individual stories that you can read on their own, right? You could just read this 3 issues and be like, that was really fucking good. That was a nice tight story. You could read the next arc and not have read anything else. Be like, that's a really good story, right? So you could read them individually, and enjoy them all as is, except for maybe the last one because the last one really ties the room together, man.
nice.
Really brings everything together. But again, in and of itself, it's a really good story. And so like each arc is its own sort of cat and mouse with each villain, presenting Batman with a different challenge, right? And Waters, really does save the best for last year. So it's just this nice build. And so you get this 12 issues. You read them start to finish, it's like, oh, it just feels like a day in the life of Batman, you know. Um, which I thought was a really great way to approach it. And again, I want more of, to be honest with you. So it's 4 distinct cases, right? So the first case is titled "We Are the Wounded," and this is your classic serial killer whodunit story, right? Again, Batman's playing from behind. He's trying to figure out what is the commonality between all these, sudden deaths. Do we have a serial killer on our hand? And getting to the bottom of it, getting to the core of what that story is. And this when you read these 3 issues, you're in the middle of an active, ongoing investigation, and you're really sort of like Batman's really relying on those detective skills and not the gadgets and all his wealth and all of that. And so he's playing from behind until he finally gets the truth. And when you get that reveal and you get that backstory, you're just like, holy shit, right? You become very sympathetic, right? I love that, right? So that's like bang, 3 issues, really, really well executed. The second case, The Voice of the Tower. This is more of a psychological thriller, right? This is, with case one sort of taking place over a period of time, whether it's a couple days, whether it's a week, that takes place over time. This particular case feels like hours. Like you're live, you're in it, you are with Batman, like bang, bang, bang. But it feels like it takes place in a night, right? And so there's a lot of suspense here, a lot more action in this, right? And as it's all taking place sort of in one setting, right? You're not where you're going from like this scene to that scene to this scene to that scene. This is all, bam, you are in this particular tower. It helps create a sense of claustrophobia. It helps create a sense of suspense. And like again, I loved how they were two different villains. The reveal of the villain is great. The choice of the villain is great, but I love that the style and the type of case that Batman is dealing with is different. It's just not the same old routine. It's not the same, rogues gallery, because technically those rogues might not exist yet.
Hmm.
The third case was very interesting. This was a little more heady, and it's titled. I'm going to pronounce this incorrectly, but Pareidolia, and this is about patterns. This is about obsession. And this is about Batman trying, coping with self doubt, right? And is he seeing things? Is he seeing patterns and things that aren't really there because he has this incessant need to fix things, to do what's right? And is he making mistakes? Is he making things worse? And this was a really great take on a particular character without that character ever actually being there. It's a well-known character, a character that we know and love, but it's a concept of that character versus the actual character.
Interesting.
Which I really dug. And this one had real consequences. This, of course, it's the penultimate arc leading to the last one that sort of leads you into a cliffhanger that then sort of carries into the last case, which is the Child of Fire. And again, this when fire's the giveaway here, but it isn't at the same time, right? So like you think fire, you can think of a very particular, villain that again isn't on the top of the rogues gallery. But you get something else at the same time. And this one, Gotham's on fire, literally. And again, this is another sort of live action, sort of thing. You're in it, but there's also something else going on that sort of like takes you. So like again, like four very different styles, four very different villains, but this one really, you know, like I said, sort of ties everything together.
Hmm.
And this had, I think, to me, the most lethal foe out of the bunch, right? And this is for the first time you go, I don't know if he's getting out of this one, right? I mean, that because it's Batman and Batman's story doesn't end here, but like the stakes were real, the consequences were real. Like, how is he going to get out? How is Batman going to like, sort of get out of this? So, um, that was like four distinct stories, four distinct cases, four distinct villains that were just absolutely tremendous.
So what I'm curious is, you said that four is probably your favorite of the bunch. And what I would love to know between these four, Joe, again, assuming that the case number four is your number one, it's fine if it's not, but how would you rank these, from, we'll go like starting at number, like what's your number four all the way to your number one between these three arcs, four arcs?
Oh, so that's the thing, is you can't rank them, right? Because they're I think, like I said, it's one of those things where you could read each individual one and enjoy them all. But when you read them together and you get it all sort of ties together, right? Uh, that's really like, damn,
Okay.
damn, right? I go ahead.
Then let me ask you this: what if if you were going to go back, like what right now? Obviously, you're not going to go back and reread this necessarily. I'm sure you did for the show, but
Yeah.
if you're like in a year from now, like, oh man, I just thought about Dark Patterns and I haven't read that in so long. If you were going to pick up one arc to go back and read between this bunch, which would it be?
Oh, it'd be the first one.
Okay,
Okay. But
cool.
I think I could also say the fourth one, but the fourth one is more impactful because the other great thing about it is that the breadcrumbs that
Mhm.
are laid down, and then the way those breadcrumbs are then revealed to you, right?
Right.
Oh, right. But no, the first one, because that's the one that where I read it and I go, oh fuck, this is really, really something here, because you're again like you're you're dealing with a villain that, I'm like, oh shit. Okay, that's new to me. And just the way that the story is told and it's paced and it unfolds, right? So, the first sort of quote unquote villain that you get is the Wound Man. And this stands out to me because it's the most disturbing of the villains in terms of aesthetics, right?
Mm.
Hayden Sherman really goes ham in this particular issue with sort of the body horror, the body gore, right? This is a story of revenge. It's a story of heartbreak. It's a detective story. It's a whodunit, right? And so it was like really, really excellent. So like because of that, that's where I would be like, yeah, I want to go back and reread these three issues. You can read all 12 of these in one sitting and be hooked and pulled in and be like, this is really effing good. The voice of the tower, like I said, was a real mind bleep of a story. It's very claustrophobic. The villain in that, when you get that reveal and you go, oh, that's great use of that villain. Because to me, it's a villain that I find a little absurd. I've always found absurd. But it was executed perfectly. In the third case, like I said, the villain is more of a concept than anything, right? And I just wrote for characters because I didn't want to give anything away. Just titled the Rookery, and this is more of a story of glory days, right? Of a bygone era, of when things were like better, at least
Mhm.
from a crime standpoint, with real good classic criminals,
Mhm.
But this has a real oh shit ending. Like I said, it sort of carries into the final arc there, um which I thought was really well done. And then the Child of Fire, right? So that in your head you can kind of think of like what villain this may be, but you're going to be sort of like, oh, that's not where they're going with this. Okay. But the villain was the most terrifying of all the villains, and like I said, had the highest stakes, and it was a tremendous red herring.
Ooh.
Tremendous red herring.
Ooh.
So Waters, I think, just did a really great job of getting a grasp on a younger Bruce Wayne and Batman. You sort of see struggles with both his own limitations and sort of doing what's right and you know doubting himself and questioning, is he doing the right thing. I just thought he did a really good job there. I thought he did a great choice with the villains. And uh, I loved it was a different way to tell a Batman story that just didn't feel repetitive, which is not an easy thing to do. And then lastly, from an art standpoint, right? Like Sherman might have earned himself a little something here
Ooh.
with this story and his art on this. I've always been a big Hayden Sherman fan, right? Ever since Thumbs. He did art on a book that unfortunately got canceled. Not no fault of his own, but it was a Mary Shelley Frankenstein book, and I loved it. I was bummed that it just didn't have the sales, but
Hmm.
like Hayden's got a very distinct art style, and I think he was a perfect art. He's a great artist for Batman, um, because of his aesthetic. I think works for Gotham City, right? And because he's got a very gothic tone to his art style. It is sketchier. It is a little more raw. It's sort of very gritty. But he refines it a little bit. There's a little smoothness in there. Some of the lines aren't as sketchy or as gritty or as raw that we may be accustomed to in, say, Thumbs or some of his other books, but you still know you're looking at a Hayden Sherman book. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
Tiona Farrell's colors in this, I thought, were just all perfectly matched. Hayden's art style, because it had that look, tone, and feel to Gotham City, and sort of like the early years of Batman there, and then his work on the Wounded Man, or the Wound Man, I should say. Like, it was just very grotesque,
Mm.
and it was like that was like there was some real horrifying shit. The mask he does for the villain in the last issue is also very terrifying, but for a completely different reason. It's very simplistic It is very uh, I don't want to say too much, but it's just very simplistic there, and it's terrifying in a very different way. But all those elements just came together. Like this was an excellent series.
Yeah, this is something that I definitely been meaning to read, but honestly, when you raise like that Hayden Sherman may have earned themselves something with this one, it like thinking about award season and everything, that makes a lot of sense. And I definitely need to make a point to at least read the first arc to confirm some of that because their work over on Absolute Wonder Woman has obviously been remarkable. So yeah, that's a very, very good point. And to be doing both of these books, I mean, like Hayden only has like I think it's like in between, like there'll be like 2 issues for Absolute Wonder Woman that they'll take off and then back at it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a really to be able doing those 2 books throughout the year, that's a really good point. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So when people are doing multiple books, and that's honestly like that carries a lot of weight for us during award season.
Mhm.
How can it not? All right, awesome. I mean, I'm sold. I mean, obviously, I cannot wait to check this book out, and I'll be moving it up on my stack for sure. I want to dig into also a DC book, but this is yours was not Black Label, correct? Yeah,
Nope.
mine is a DC Black Label book. And now Joe's obviously just wrapped up, but Strange Adventures is a book that ran from 2020 to 2021, 12 issue DC Black Label series written by Tom King with art by both Mitch Gerards and Evan Doc Shaner with letters by Clayton Coles. And this is all available in one collected edition. Now, for me, what was interesting was I don't give a fuck about Adam Strange. I do now, but like before this, couldn't have given a damn. Just wasn't somebody I was interested in looking into stories for. I knew this series existed because I've been reviewing comics before 2020, and it's just like okay, like I you can't read everything. I don't care about Adam Strange. You know, like it's not. I don't have the whole thing with Tom King, but I'm just like okay, cool. Like I've definitely been reading more Tom King stuff in the last few years. But there's 2 things going for me here. One, um, my local library has a hardcover copy of Strange Adventures at it. So I was like, okay, interesting because they don't have a huge selection. It's a very small library because it's a small town. I kind of want to get them a copy of Witches because the show's coming out and it's based in our town. But it's also like I don't know if they want to have that because it's people are weird, I mean, like I don't know, they'll probably get complaints or whatever. But anyways, I don't know what their horror selection is like. I guess is a good way of putting this. But I knew that was there. I knew it existed. I'm like, I'm not gonna check it out. Then I saw Superman, the James Gunn Superman starring David Cornsweet, and I really enjoyed Mr. Terrific in that. And I was like, I gotta read something with Mr. Terrific. It's a character who I'd never cared a whole lot about before either, never really just but hadn't looked into. And after the movie, I'm like, I need to see if there's some shit that I like. I obviously talked about Mr. Terrific Year One on the show that's been ongoing, and I've enjoyed that series. But in looking stuff up on social media and what have you, I saw Strange Adventures was brought up as a good Mr. Terrific story, and I was like, okay, like I know this is a well-regarded series. This is a good Mr. Terrific story, so I'm like, all right, let's check this out. And like before I go any further into this, if you're someone who is simply looking for the next good comic book for you to read, that's like, I'm just trying to find something good to read, something I can binge. Check this out if you haven't already. It is that simple. This is such a well done story from an art standpoint, from a writing standpoint, top to bottom. And it's just I think having characters who it being Black Label and then having characters who you're familiar with but not necessarily crazy familiar with, along with some other characters who you know well, it's just the perfect storm. It really is. As for the synopsis, Adam Strange is the hero of Ran, a man famous throughout the galaxy for his bravery and honor. After leading his adopted home to victory in a great planetary war, Adam and his wife Alana retire to Earth, where they are greeted by cheers, awards, and parades. But not all is as happy and nice as it seems, as the decisions Adam made during battles on Ran come back to haunt his family and threaten the entire DC universe. Now his fate rests in the hands of one of his fellow heroes, Mr. Terrific, who must choose between saving Adam or the world. So again, having this be DC Black Label, like yes, they say like the DC universe is under threat right now, but having this be Black Label, there's so much more freedom to do what you want, like for Tom King and the artists to do what they want with these characters throughout the course of the story. They don't have those same limitations, and similarly, you don't have that same bar of entry where it's like, I've never read an Adam Strange comic before. I don't know a whole hell of a lot about Mr. Terrific. None of that shit matters. You don't even have to have ancillary knowledge of Adam Strange. Like I know he existed, and I think he was in that Krypton show that was on Sci-Fi that existed for like one season. Other than that, I don't like. I've never really cared like about him at all. He's the main character in this story, and I say all this, and I love this series. I binged the shit out of this. I read like 9 issues in one weekend, and then I finished it off like after that the next episode of TLDR. So I've been sitting on this one for a bit. So you have Adam Strange, you have Alana Strange, you have Mr. Terrific. Other DC characters are in the mix, like Batman is in the mix, but at the same time, none of them are really. None of them individually are crazy significant throughout the series. I would say Batman is probably the most significant of the bunch, but at the same time, it's like this is a story about those 3 individuals.
Typical Batman diva can't let a story go without jumping in. You know?
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know, like from a conceptual standpoint, I'm not sure how the general public feel about Adam Strange. But like I've said, I didn't care about him, and I think the brilliance of this is where the concept lies. Like the plot is something that could have been very interesting, but having it instead happen in an established world with a character who's like been around for a long time, and then there's other characters who we know well, that adds like an extra bit of weight. So if Tom King was like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna go do this like I did, like pull a Helen of Windhorn. Like I did Supergirl, now I'm gonna twist it around, do some different shit, and then do Helen of Windhorn, where it has a similar vibe, made a lot of substantial changes, but like if you liked one story, you're gonna probably like the other. If he went and did that with this, I think it would still do really well. But I think having this be set in an established universe adds that extra bit of severity, weight, however you want to put it. One thing that happens a lot with this story is, well, constantly, is you're bouncing between present day and the past. And you have the 2 different artists that make it very clear in which you're doing that. I think that's dicey. I don't mind a good flashback, but when you're doing a heavy amount of it, it can be like, I don't know, it's just you want the story to move forward. But they are in such great conversation, the past and present here, and there's so much misdirection between the 2 throughout the course of the story that it's obviously necessary, but it's perfectly executed. If I'd read this monthly, because I obviously didn't, I binged this, I probably would have lost my mind reading this. And I mean that in a good way, because King writes this in such a way where it's like, I, I can't just read one issue at a time. I have to read multiple ones. It's simply too good. There's simply too many twists going on. And I honestly think it is easier to like process all the twists by reading it in this kind of format. I do think where, like you said, Batman Dark Patterns, you'll go and read that in one sitting and you'll be done. Questions asked. I think you might be able to do that with this, but there's a lot going on where I think you could read this all in one weekend, but I don't think you're going to do all of the reading in one day necessarily. I could be wrong, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's like I'm going to read 4 today, 4 Friday, 4 Saturday, 4 Sunday, bing, bang, boom, spread it out a smidge, just because there is a lot to take in and to process throughout all of this. And the biggest strength of this whole thing, as I sufficiently bury the lead here, when you have one of the things that, like, there are a lot of different ways you can have a good plot, and we've talked about that ad nauseum on here, and we will continue to do so. But when you layer something really well, that really strikes me. Where it's like I'm like reading something, and then boom, the bottom falls out, and reading something, and then the bottom falls out again. And King does that. This is one of the best examples of like, this is how you fucking layer a story, because it's just you're moving along at a pace, and then it's like, okay, all right, really good first issue, like, and good ending, interesting, got it. Second issue, oh shit, okay. In every single issue, it's like, what the fuck? And I can't wait to reread this, to see how I perceive some of the things that he presented along the way. Because just like every issue, it's like your perception of the key players involved here. I mentioned Adam Strange, Alana, and Mr. Terrific. It's just Mr. Terrific. Your perception of him is pretty much the same throughout, but it's just like what he's figuring out and what he's piecing together because he's just so brilliant. But I was blown away um, by like how much my view of everything that was going on changed. And by the end of it, it's just like your jaws on the floor with like, I know how we got here, but I can't believe that this is where it led us to. And to make good on the Mr. Terrific stuff, where it's like hey, if you liked Mr. Terrific in the Superman movie and you want more of him, yes, this is absolutely a series that you should be checking out. This pushes him with everything at every turn. He has like he's not just dealing with um an investigation that he's called into, because that's Batman's role in this. Batman is called in to conduct an investigation in some capacity, and then it's like, yeah, you kind of can't have Batman do this because just different things that are at play here. So we got to bring in another party, and then Batman goes to Mr. Terrific to conduct this interview. And I'll tell you what, I would be very curious of the alternate universe where Batman does this interview, because there's some shit that Mr. Terrific has to put up with, and he handled it really well and continued to move through his shit. But I'm like, Batman probably would have been a little more pissed off. Mr. Terrific was a little more composed. But anyways, yeah. So from a writing standpoint, can't say enough about this series. From an art standpoint, you got both. You may have noticed I didn't mention colorists on this series. Both of these two artists are doing their own colors, Mitch Gerard and Evan Doc Shaner. And the choice of for the artists in which the time frames that these two individuals covered was perfect. And like I look at this and I think it's I look at the two next to each other. It's like it feels kind of obvious in a sense where it's like, oh, one's set in the past and their style very much fits like the vibe of what that story is supposed to represent, and then the present, so on and so forth. But it's easy to say that when it's like presented right in front of you, like putting the team together and whatnot. I just think DC did an outstanding job of who they decided that who King or whoever like the decisions made here with Gerards and Shaner were perfect. One gives this like political drama vibe, and then the other one gives like a throwback superhero vibe. Gerards is the one who's doing the present day, given that political drama vibe. Doc Shaner is the one that's set in the past, and I think his stuff does have more of a modern superhero feel, but when you juxtapose it against Gerard's artwork, it really does have this like throwback vibe where like everything's good, golly gee whiz. Like it's like that's not how Doc Shaner's art style is in general, but like juxtaposed against it, where Gerard's just gritty. It has this modern feel. And I say it's gritty, but there's also like kind of a fineness to it, and there's some likenesses that we see with Gerard's art style that kind of remind me of what we see with Mike Deodato's art style as well. Where it's like, oh, this looks like he looks like somebody, she looks like somebody. That's interesting, and it just kind of adds another element to or another layer to what's going on in this story. But I love that, and it's just there's also kind of like I say gritty, but there's also like a smokiness kind of to, it's not, that doesn't mean like there's use of like darkness or anything like that, but just the way Gerard's uses color and sometimes doesn't use color kind of adds that element to it with his art style. And then when you have Doc Shaner, like it's got that more classic vibe and it really fits the character well. But I just love how like it's such a hard shift from what we're getting in the present day. And it's like, oh yeah, this is where all the good stuff is supposed to be happening, at least all the positive stuff. And it's like, is it? I don't know. But I may have said too much already. So Strange Adventures, like when you check this out, Joe, because I really think you should like move this one up on your list too from a reading standpoint. I think it's available on Hoopla. It's something that you'll just be like, this is a crazy good one. That totally this is a great example of a TLDR book, I think.
No. Nice. Yeah, this is sort of where Tom King thrives, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because my only beef with Tom King is he just doesn't get Batman, and I was not a fan of his Batman. And everything else I love. As you're talking about this, it made me think of The Human Target.
Yeah, I was about to say, as you're saying all that, yeah,
right. And you take a character like Christopher Chance, who I was not aware of before I read Human Target. And I mean, this was a TLDR book. I talked about it, on the program. Keith loved it, right?
Yeah.
It's really a testament to the writer who could take a character who I either have never heard of or couldn't have previously given two shits about, and then absolutely love them. I mean, we've seen that a lot this year, right? We've seen it with David Pepos and Speed Racer. Who's writing Flash Gordon? But Flash Gordon, right, is another character that it's old and beyond my time. I don't care about Flash Gordon. I'm loving that series. Percy's done it with General Ross. Like, I couldn't give two shits about Thunderbolt Ross, but that Red Hulk series has been absolutely fantastic, right? So that's a testament to the writers when they can take these obscure characters or nostalgic characters that you never would have thought you'd ever read a day in your life, and you love them. And so, to me, this is like a quintessential Tom King book, right? And these feel like quintessential Tom King characters. Because like you said, this is a book for me. I couldn't tell you two things about Strange or Mr. Terrific. But I'll read this and I bet I'll love it. And I'm looking forward to that.
So the artist for Flash Gordon is Will Conrad, and the
Yeah.
writer is Jeremy Adams.
Yeah, thank you. Right.
Yes. Yeah.
So they've done an excellent job. And that's a testament to writing and when you can take characters that are being revived and get that were from an older generation and getting my generation or younger to love them, or just plucking obscure characters out of the DC universe and telling a great story. Like, this is Tom King's wheelhouse, right? And this is the stuff that from him that we love. So I look forward to reading this.
Yeah, it was really fun. And this is a book where I will 100% go back and reread this at some point, and just because it's just the way we get there at the end. It's just like when I was going through my list, I was like, oh wait, I haven't done Strange Adventures yet. Like I know I just read it, but I'm like, nope, this has to happen. It has to happen now. I couldn't do it during spooky season, but it needed to get moved up 100%. Awesome. All right. So speaking of our scheduling and everything like that, we have the 2025 gift guide coming at you guys next week, so make sure you're ready for all those recommendations. We got you covered. Stuff for maybe to throw on your list if you haven't been reading stuff throughout certain books throughout the year, or if you're looking for stuff for other comic book readers in your life, or people you're trying to introduce comics to. We're thinking about all that kind of stuff. So we got you covered. We will have that for you next week. Until then, Joe,
I already said at the beginning of the show, I shot my wad then, but I'll repeat it for those listening now. Keep reading, baby.